There is a plant that doubles its mass every 24 hours, every single day, without fail. In the right conditions, it grows faster than any other plant ever measured. This plant contains more protein than beef, more protein than eggs, more protein than soybeans, dried and processed. It reaches 80% protein by weight. It contains all 9 essential amino acids in ratios that match human dietary requirements almost perfectly. It is one of the only plant sources of complete protein on Earth. It requires no soil, no fertilizer, no pesticides, no farmland of any kind. It grows on water, any water, pond water, wastewater, agricultural runoff. The dirtier the water, the faster it grows. It purifies that water as it grows. It absorbs nitrogen and phosphorus that would otherwise cause algae blooms in dead zones. It cleans pollution while producing food. This plant covers ponds across every continent except Antarctica. It floats on the surface in green mats that homeowners spend millions trying to remove. Golf courses poison it. Cities spray herbicides to kill it. It is considered a nuisance, a weed, an invasive pest. It is the most efficient protein production system on Earth, and we call it useless. Today, we are opening the file on the plant that could end protein scarcity forever. The crop that needs no farmland, the food that purifies water while feeding the world, and the industries that profit from your ignorance of what is growing in every pond in your neighborhood. If this matters to you, subscribe and hit the bell. The file is open. In 2015, a food scientist at Parable Ltd. Made an announcement that should have made global headlines. His name was Dr. Gilla Broussard. He had spent 7 years developing a process to convert pond plants into human food. Not animal feed, human food. Something people could eat directly. The product he unveiled was a protein powder, pale green, neutral flavor, soluble in water. The nutritional analysis was extraordinary. Protein content, 68% in standard processing, up to 80% with enhanced extraction. Higher than any other plant protein on the commercial market. Amino acid profile. All 9 essential amino acids present. The limiting amino acid in most plant proteins, lysine, was abundant. The protein was complete, requiring no complementary foods to meet human nutritional needs. Digestibility, 95%, comparable to whey protein from dairy. Most plant proteins score 70 to 85%. This plant matched animal sources. Dr. Broussard had not invented a new plant. He had simply figured out how to process a plant that has grown wild for 100 million years. The plant is so common that most people have seen it without knowing what they were looking at. The green coating on stagnant ponds. The layer of tiny leaves floating on slow-moving water. The stuff that ducks eat. That is its common name, the weed that ducks eat. Scientists call it lemna. There are approximately 40 species in the family. The most common lemna minor grows on fresh water across the entire planet. It is the smallest flowering plant on Earth. Each individual plant is smaller than a grain of rice. But those tiny plants multiply so rapidly that they can cover a pond in days. Dr. Broussard's research demonstrated that this multiplication could be harnessed. A pond of duckweed, properly managed, could produce more protein per acre than any other agricultural system. Not just more than plants, more than animals. A beef cattle operation produces approximately 20 pounds of protein per acre per year. The cattle need grazing land. They need feed crops. They need years to reach slaughter weight. A soybean farm produces approximately 450 pounds of protein per acre per year. Soybeans are considered efficient. They are the dominant protein crop in global agriculture. A duckweed pond produces over 6,000 pounds of protein per acre per year. Not a typo. 6,000 pounds. 13 times more than soybeans. 300 times more than beef. Dr. Broussard published these numbers. He presented at food industry conferences. He sought investment to scale production. The food industry was not interested. The science of duckweed has been known for decades. In 1976, researchers at Louisiana State University conducted the first systematic analysis of duckweed as human food. They documented the protein content, the amino acid profile, the growth rates. Their conclusion was unambiguous. Duckweed has potential as a significant protein source for human nutrition. The research was filed and forgotten. In 1987, researchers at the University of Florida documented that duckweed could be grown on wastewater from pig farms. The plants absorb the nitrogen and phosphorus that would otherwise pollute groundwater. They converted agricultural waste into edible protein. The research was ignored. In 1998, researchers in Bangladesh demonstrated that duckweed could address protein malnutrition in rural communities. Families grew it in small ponds beside their homes. They ate it fresh, cooked it into traditional dishes, fed it to their livestock. Child malnutrition rates in participating villages dropped by 40%. The program was not expanded. In 2004, researchers at Ben Gurion University in Israel published a comprehensive review of duckweed as a food source. They documented cultivation methods, nutritional content, processing options, and economic potential. Their paper concluded that duckweed could substantially contribute to global food security. No government launched duckweed initiatives. Study after study, decade after decade, the evidence accumulated. The conclusions aligned. The response remained silence. The question that haunts researchers who study this plant is simple. Why? Why does a protein source that outperforms every alternative remain classified as a weed? Why do communities facing malnutrition not know about a crop they could grow in buckets? Why has 50 years of research produced no meaningful change? The answer, as always, follows the money. The global protein industry generates approximately $50 billion in annual revenue. This includes meat production, dairy production, egg production, and plant protein processing. It includes the companies that breed animals, the companies that manufacture feed, the companies that operate slaughterhouses, and the companies that process soybeans into protein isolates. These industries are interconnected. They share supply chains, they share political influence, they share an interest in maintaining the systems that generate their revenue. Duckweed threatens all of them simultaneously. Consider the soybean industry. Soybeans are the dominant source of plant protein in the global food supply. Soybean cultivation covers 300 million acres worldwide. The crop generates approximately $150 billion in annual economic activity. Soybean farming requires land. It requires tractors and harvesters and processing facilities. It requires seed purchased from corporations that control proprietary genetics. It requires fertilizers and herbicides that must be purchased every season. The soybean industry is capital intensive. It has high barriers to entry. It is controlled by large corporations that benefit from that control. Duckweed requires none of this. A family with a pond can produce duckweed. A village with a wastewater lagoon can produce duckweed. Anyone with a container of water and sunlight can produce duckweed. There is no proprietary genetics. Duckweed has never been commercialized enough to attract breeding programs. Wild duckweed from any pond produces food-grade protein. There is no expensive equipment. Duckweed is harvested by skimming it off the water surface. A net on a pole is sufficient technology. There are no purchased inputs. Duckweed grows on sunlight and nutrients dissolved in water. It thrives on pollution that other crops cannot tolerate. From the perspective of the soybean industry, duckweed is an existential threat. A protein source that anyone can produce eliminates the need for a protein source that requires corporate infrastructure. The soy industry has not funded duckweed research. They have not promoted duckweed cultivation. They have not included duckweed in their product portfolios. They have maintained the status quo in which soybeans are the default plant protein and duckweed is pond scum. The meat industry tells the same story, amplified. Global meat production generates over $1 trillion in annual revenue. It is one of the largest industries on Earth. It employs millions of people. It shapes agricultural policy in every country. Meat production is also one of the most resource-intensive industries on Earth. Livestock consume approximately 1/3 of global crop production. Animals eat grain that could feed humans directly. The conversion is inefficient. It takes approximately 6 pounds of feed to produce 1 pound of beef. Livestock require approximately 70% of all agricultural land on Earth. Pastures and feed crop production together cover more land than any other human use. Livestock produce approximately 14% of global greenhouse gas emissions. Methane from digestion, nitrous oxide from manure, carbon dioxide from feed production and transportation. Every criticism of industrial agriculture leads back to meat production. Every environmental metric is dominated by livestock. Duckweed offers an alternative, a protein source that requires no farmland, a protein source that produces no methane, a protein source that cleans water rather than polluting it, a protein source that generates 300 times more protein per acre than beef. If consumers adopted duckweed as a protein staple, demand for meat would decline. If demand for meat declined, the trillion-dollar meat industry would contract. The meat industry has not promoted this alternative. The pharmaceutical industry adds another layer of opposition. Protein malnutrition affects approximately 800 million people worldwide. It causes stunted growth, cognitive impairment, weakened immune function, and increased mortality. The response to malnutrition has been medical intervention. Therapeutic foods manufactured by pharmaceutical companies, protein supplements distributed through aid organizations, products that generate revenue for the companies that produce them. Duckweed is not a pharmaceutical product. It cannot be patented. It cannot be manufactured in facilities that only corporations can afford. It grows in ponds. A village that grows its own duckweed does not need therapeutic foods shipped from factories. A family that cultivates protein in their backyard does not need supplements purchased at pharmacies. The pharmaceutical companies that profit from malnutrition have no interest in a solution that eliminates malnutrition without their products. The pattern repeats across every industry that touches food production. No one with economic power benefits from promoting duckweed. Everyone with economic power benefits from suppressing it. The suppression does not require conspiracy. It requires only the absence of promotion. Governments do not fund duckweed research because no industry lobbies for funding. Universities do not study duckweed because no grants support the research. Extension services do not teach duckweed cultivation because no corporation sponsors the curriculum. The plant remains invisible, not because it was hidden, because no one with money wanted it seen. The history of duckweed as human food is older than civilization. Archaeological evidence suggests humans have eaten duckweed for at least 10,000 years. Seeds and plant matter have been found in ancient human settlements across Asia. In Thailand, duckweed has been a traditional vegetable for centuries. It is called kainam, meaning eggs of the water. It is cooked into soups, stir-fried with vegetables, eaten fresh as a salad green. In Myanmar, duckweed is cultivated in ponds and harvested as a daily protein source. Rural families maintain small duckweed ponds the way Americans maintain vegetable gardens. In parts of Africa, duckweed is collected from wild sources and incorporated into traditional dishes. It is called water lentils, a name that captures its nutritional similarity to legumes. These cultures never forgot that duckweed is food. They never stopped eating it. They simply continue to practice that dates to the origins of human settlement. Western civilization is the anomaly. We are the ones who decided that duckweed is not food. We are the ones who spray herbicides on one of the most nutritious plants on earth. The decision was cultural, not scientific. Duckweed looks like pond scum. It grows in places we consider dirty. It does not fit our aesthetic expectations for food. We choose to import soybeans from farms carved out of the Amazon rainforest. We choose to raise cattle on feedlots that pollute watersheds. We choose to manufacture protein in factories that consume enormous energy. We choose these things while duckweed grows on every pond, waiting to be harvested. The potential applications extend far beyond human food. Duckweed is already used as animal feed in many parts of the world. Fish farms use it to grow tilapia and carp. Poultry operations use it to supplement chicken feed. Pig farmers in Asia have used it for generations. The economics are compelling. Why buy soybean meal shipped from another continent when duckweed grows in your pond? Wastewater treatment offers another application. Conventional wastewater treatment requires expensive infrastructure, settling tanks, aeration systems, chemical treatments, energy-intensive processes. Small communities often cannot afford proper treatment. Their waste pollutes rivers and groundwater. Duckweed treatment systems are simple and cheap. Wastewater flows into ponds. Duckweed grows on the surface, absorbing nitrogen and phosphorus. The plants are harvested regularly, removing the nutrients from the system. Clean water flows out the other end. The harvested duckweed becomes animal feed or fertilizer or biofuel feedstock. The waste becomes a resource. The pollution becomes production. Communities in developing countries have implemented duckweed treatment systems at a fraction of the cost of conventional technology. They get clean water and protein production from the same infrastructure. Biofuel production is another frontier. Duckweed produces more biomass per acre than any terrestrial crop. That biomass can be converted to ethanol or biodiesel. The production does not compete with food crops for farmland. It does not require clearing forests or draining wetlands. Research programs have demonstrated viable conversion processes. The technology works. The economics could work at scale. But no major energy company has invested in duckweed by. They continue investing in corn ethanol, which requires prime farmland and massive subsidies. The pattern holds. Every application that would benefit humanity is ignored. Every alternative that would challenge existing industries is suppressed. You can grow duckweed in a bucket. The plant requires only water, sunlight, and nutrients. A 5-gallon bucket on a sunny patio produces harvestable quantities within weeks. Start by collecting duckweed from a local pond. Look for small floating plants with 1, 2, 3 leaves and a single root. This is Lemna common duckweed. Avoid larger plants with multiple roots, which may be watermeal or other species. Place the collected plants in your container with clean water. Add nutrients to accelerate growth. Fish tank water works well. Diluted urine works even better, providing nitrogen that duckweed absorbs eagerly. Place the container in full sunlight. Duckweed grows fastest with maximum light exposure. In warm conditions, you will see visible growth within days. Harvest by skimming the surface with a small net or strainer. Remove approximately 1/3 of the surface coverage every few days. The remaining plants will multiply to replace what you harvested. Rinse the harvested duckweed thoroughly. It can be eaten fresh, with a mild flavor similar to watercress. It can be dried and ground into powder for addition to smoothies or baked goods. It can be cooked into soups or stir-fries. The taste is mild and slightly vegetal. It does not have a strong flavor of its own, making it easy to incorporate into existing recipes. One bucket will not provide all your protein needs, but it demonstrates the principle. It proves that protein production does not require farmland or livestock or corporate supply chains. Scale up to a small pond, and production becomes significant. A backyard pond can produce pounds of protein per week. A community pond can supplement the nutrition of an entire neighborhood. The criticism most often leveled at duckweed is perception. It looks like pond scum. It grows in places we consider dirty. The idea of eating it triggers disgust in many Western consumers. This disgust is cultural conditioning, not biological instinct. The same consumers who reject duckweed eagerly eat lobster, which is essentially an ocean insect that feeds on dead things. They eat cheese, which is curdled milk left to rot under controlled conditions. They eat mushrooms, which are fungi that decompose organic matter. Disgust is learned. It can be unlearned. In cultures where duckweed is traditional food, there is no disgust. People eat it the way Americans eat lettuce. It is simply food. The Western perception of duckweed as disgusting is a product of unfamiliarity. We did not grow up eating it. Our parents did not serve it. Our culture does not include it. But our culture also did not include sushi until recently. Raw fish was considered disgusting by most Americans until Japanese restaurants made it fashionable. Now it is mainstream cuisine. Cultural change is possible. It requires only exposure and normalization. Every pond covered with duckweed is a protein farm waiting to be harvested. Every golf course that sprays herbicides to kill duckweed is destroying food. Every homeowner who poisons their pond is eliminating a resource. Every municipality that treats duckweed as a nuisance is ignoring a solution. The plant does not need our approval to grow. It has been growing for 100 million years. It was growing before humans existed. It will grow long after our civilizations have collapsed. It simply waits for us to recognize what it offers. 80% protein, complete amino acid profile, 6,000 pounds per acre per year, no farmland required, cleans water while producing food. The most efficient protein production system on Earth. Growing in ponds we spray with poison. The industries that profit from protein scarcity have kept this knowledge from you. The corporations that sell soybeans and raise livestock and manufacture supplements have no interest in a solution that grows in your backyard. They need you to believe that protein requires their products, that food requires their systems, that nutrition requires their supply chains. Duckweed proves them wrong. One pond, one bucket. One person willing to harvest what grows naturally and freely. That is all it takes to step outside the system that profits from your dependency. The plant they call useless. The weed they spray to kill. The food that could feed the world. Growing right now in ponds across your neighborhood, waiting for you to see it. If this video helped you, subscribe and hit the bell. Every share exposes what they buried. The next video opens soon.